what that means. Time to get your fantasy football questions answered. The best advice out there. It's with our guy, Dave Richard from CBS Sports. Dave, happy Halloween to you.
Happy Halloween to you. What are you going as for Halloween, Jason?
I'm going as a guy that actually knows how to play fantasy football. Does it look like it or no?
You definitely look like it more than, I don't know, someone like Dave would.
How about you? Do you have a costume?
I just dressed as Garth Algar from Wayne's World.
Nice.
For our live stream on YouTube.
I see it. You got the look, the plaid.
We rocked out. Yeah, excellent. So it was a good time, and invite everybody to go and watch it on YouTube.
Nice.
After we're done here.
Well done. So that's good. You're getting involved. As far as where you live, do you get a lot of trick or treaters?
We don't get a ton, but we get enough. My wife isn't a huge Halloween fan, so she doesn't want to even stay home. She wants to go out and not even give out candy. But I remember what I was like when I was 13, and I came across houses that weren't home for Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want the things that I might have done to happen to my house now. So you better believe I'm going to grab a couple of bags of candy on the way home, and I'm going to be at my door giving out candy to keep my house egg-free.
Yes.
By Saturday morning.
Yeah, because I always wonder. I mean, I'm trying to I'm trying to think back to different times as a kid. Like if the house was completely dark and you're younger, you're like, ooh, let's stay away from that house. But then the houses that had the bowl out there, like, please take one. I just feel like that's a losing deal too. That candy's gone.
Well, the trick is to put the sign out there and then just put an empty bowl out there. And so now everybody that comes to the door knows, oh, somebody already got this house for all their candy, and they keep running. But that's no excuse. If you're not home, you might still have gotten some chicanery done.
Yeah.
By some people I know. That's all I'm going to say.
You're just saying, yeah. Just
don't come after. Well, I mean, statute of limitations.
Yeah, you should be good.
I don't think I can be prosecuted for TPing houses.
There you go.
1993 or whatever it was.
Last night, Week 9 got started. I know people that had drafted Lamar Jackson were thankful to have him back. Hopefully, they did put him in. It looked like he's back, 4 touchdowns. Maybe it's partly the Dolphins, but anybody that has Lamar Jackson, should they be feeling pretty good going forward?
Very good. We had a debate about whether or not he's the number 1 quarterback in fantasy rest of season, because before his injury, he was pretty dang good for fantasy managers as well. So you can definitely make the case for it. Mahomes has played well. Josh Allen typically puts up good numbers. Dak Prescott's been great. But Lamar's right up there. Is he a first-round pick? Not in the leagues that I play in, and we don't generally recommend taking quarterbacks in round 1 unless you can start 2 of them. So I think he's probably toward the top of the list, but not first-round good. Not when you can get some of these other running backs and wide receivers who have been awesome this year. The questions that we've had are more about Zay Flowers, and this was not the best game for him. Mark Andrews scored a couple touchdowns, didn't have a lot of targets in the game. What do you do with them moving forward? I think Zay Flowers, rather, an easy start. You just view him as like a number 2 receiver, not a number 1. And Mark Andrews, I think anytime you've got a matchup where the Ravens are going to get into the red zone a lot, you plug him in and you hope he scores a touchdown. It's about as good as it gets for Mark Andrews. He's also pretty good against man coverage.
As far as that, I know we talk more fantasy football here, but this could be related to them because if he's productive and Andrews is productive and Henry and everybody and Zay Flowers that you're talking about, just them in general, they get to 3-5 with the win. They've underachieved. Some of it is explained by Jackson being out. Do you anticipate them kind of taking off in the back half of the season?
I want to run down their schedule for you.
Okay.
And then you can tell me whether or not you think it's possible for them to get past 500 and then compete in what is now a wide open AFC North. And this is not the best radio, of course, Jason, because I'm just reading names, but Minnesota, Cleveland, the Jets, the Bengals, and then they've got the Steelers. There might be one loss in there. Pittsburgh generally plays the Ravens very well. Cincinnati after that, New England after that, that could be another loss. At Green Bay in week 17. Ooh, that's going to be tough for fantasy managers. That's the championship week.
Ooh.
That's something to keep in mind. And then at Pittsburgh in week 18.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 losses in there. So maybe they're a 7-loss team by the time they get to week 18 and a showdown potentially against the Steelers for the AFC North. I think that's going to be the last game of the year in the NFL. And the winner of that game, NFC North champs, gets the division game in week 1 of the playoffs. And maybe the other team goes home or has to go on the road for the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah. They're going to get healthy. You can the schedule and Lamar being back. Yeah, you're right. I feel good
So
about that.
the thing that I don't feel good about when it comes to the Ravens is their pass rush. They need to make a trade to get somebody to get after the quarterback, and they did a pretty good job of getting after Tua on Thursday. But generally, they won't play teams with bad offensive lines like this. Although I just read their schedule, there's a lot of them on there. Their secondary is playing great. Roquan Smith is a monster in the middle of that defense. It's the D line, the pass rush that worries me the most. Like it's the only worry that we have about Baltimore now is whether or not they can get to the quarterback.
We have people when questions here for Dave, and I love this question for Uncle Dave. So you're getting emotional
It's a
attachments
reference to
here.
our player prop show.
Okay,
That's somebody who pays attention to the other work that I do. So
nice.
that.
I like that.
Yeah.
They need 2 for flex: Wandale, Dowdle, Josh Downs, Kenneth Walker, and Brian Thomas Jr.
I think I like Brian Thomas Jr. and Dowdle the best of that group. Wandale Robinson's kind of safe. I don't hate his matchup against San Francisco. The Niners are another team. Humongous pass rush questions. Like who knew that like Bryce Huff would be such an important player for them this year? And now here he is missing games and their pass rush is like non-existent without him. But I think Kenneth Walker has a shot to have a good game. Game script will be in his favor. And I'm not ready to completely sink Brian Thomas Jr. I do like Travis Hunter a little bit more, especially in full PPR. But Brian Thomas Jr. should have a chance at some decent numbers at least.
Next one for you, Dave. Start 1, David Montgomery, Kareem Hunt, Aaron Jones.
Montgomery is my favorite of the 3, but Montgomery and Hunt are kind of the same type of player. They're touchdown or bust running backs. At least in the case of Hunt, we know that there's no Isaiah Pacheco to share with, so he might get more carries, and he's just as touchdown dependent as Montgomery. But I do like Montgomery's matchup better. Going up against Minnesota, we know what the game script is going to be like in that Lions game. The Lions should be able to run the ball a good amount. If the Chiefs are chasing points in the second half against Buffalo, or if it's a high-scoring game, then I don't know how many touches Kareem Hunt's going to get by comparison.
How about I always like to ask you about the 49ers kind of in generality. They take on the Giants. I'm sure CMC is a play, but Kittle came back 2 weeks ago but got a touchdown last week. Who are some of the better plays this week for the 49ers?
McCaffrey and Kittle are slam dunks. If Purdy plays, he wouldn't be a top 12 quarterback. He's someone you'd consider starting. There are a lot of injuries in the Giants secondary right now, and if they're not healthy, it could be a really good situation for the 49ers. Not necessarily Brock Purdy picking them apart, but the Giants secondary making mistakes that open up bigger plays for wide receivers like Jawan Jennings and Kendrick Bourne. I like Jennings better of the two. I don't like that he hasn't been very productive in his last 4 games, but there's an opportunity here because the Giants secondary is so beat up. And if Purdy plays, Mac Jones has been very nice as a replacement for him. I feel like it's an upgrade if Purdy's under center compared to Mac Jones. So maybe you think about Jawan Jennings if it is Purdy. But Kittle, you're automatically starting, and Christian, you're starting as well.
As far as the Giants go, we've talked to you many times about Cam Scatterbo, local guy here. Just a fun season going and a brutal injury. Sad for him for sure. On the flip side of that, what changes for the Giants running game? Is there any play there?
So Tyrone Tracy was the hot pickup off the waiver wire this week, obviously, because he's going to be the new lead running back for the New York Giants. I do wonder if there's going to be a bit of a philosophical shift with the Giants and they put more on Jackson Dart's plate. Not necessarily meaning that he runs more, but that he throws more. And again, this is a good matchup. 49ers can't get to the quarterback. That means Dart will have a little bit more time to make reads downfield. Should have had a long touchdown last week to Darius Slayton. An OPI call brought that back. I wonder if there's no OPI call this week, Slayton could do it again. Wandale Robinson is in play to get 11 PPR points, 12 PPR points. That's a safe expectation. But I do think Dart will have a lot more to do with the Giants' success moving forward because he doesn't have that beast in his backfield in Cam Scatterbo anymore. And I don't know if they trust Tyrone Tracy to the same level that they ended up trusting Cam Scatterbo before his injury.
Let's see. We got another one for you here. Pollard or Spears? And then they also ask, what about Travion Henderson?
Okay, so Spears over Pollard, especially if catches count for anything. We've seen Spears play more than Pollard over the past couple of weeks. And I just think it's going to continue to be a game script thing where Tennessee is chasing points. And that's usually when we see Spears on the field first, Pollard behind him. Travion Henderson's in play if Ramondre Stevenson is out. We haven't seen Stevenson practice this week. He's got a toe injury, but I don't know if the Patriots are ready to put everything on Henderson's plate. I think he's going to share. There's a running back there named Terrell Jennings. He's available in 99% of leagues. No one's heard of him, but he'll end up working alongside Travion Henderson and might even be the short yardage goal line back for New England because he's a little stockier than Travion Henderson. So you could look to pick him up and maybe as a dart throw, you can use Jennings. That's all contingent on Ramondre Stevenson not practicing on Friday and being ruled out for the game for them against Atlanta.
I always like to ask you, too, who's rated maybe higher on your QB, running back, receiver list that might cover a lot of listeners out there?
So Daniel Jones is top 10. Matthew Stafford is top 10. Caleb Williams is top 10. He's playing Cincinnati. Really? If Caleb Williams was playing almost anybody else in the NFL, he wouldn't be anywhere close to this ranking. But Cincinnati's defense has been so bad this year that I can't help myself. I think Caleb Williams will have a chance to put up some good numbers. And I even like him better than Jaden Daniels, who has a really tough matchup against Seattle. All three of those quarterbacks, or four of those quarterbacks, if we throw in Jackson Dart, ahead of Jaden Daniels. Zonovan Knight is an interesting name. Doughty's out there on your waiver wire, Jason, but he's somebody who could be a top 15 running back this week going up against Dallas. In fact, a lot of Cardinals players, including Kyler Murray, are attractive options in fantasy this week because of the matchup against Dallas. Along that same line, going back to Chicago and the Bears and their matchup against Cincinnati, Kyle Monangai is an interesting running back play. If you're really desperate at the position, I'd start him ahead of pretty much any Vikings running back, any Titans running back. I think that there's some good upside for him. And then at wide receiver, just a couple of names that I like a little bit more than normal. I mentioned Travis Hunter. I think that what he did in the second half of his last game against the Rams, he builds on. I like him better than Brian Thomas. I like Kayshon Boutte of the Patriots. He's been scoring touchdowns at a high rate. Don't know what to make of that Falcons defense. So I could see him having a pretty good game. And then Oronde Gadsden has been all the talk in fantasy circles at tight end. The Chargers have been using him very well over the last 3 games. I think he keeps it going against Tennessee. I think the Chargers do whatever they want against Tennessee, which reminds me, Kamani Vidal, the running back that was awesome last Thursday. I didn't have him ranked high enough last week. I wish I did. I think this week he's a top 12 running back against that Titans defense.
How about, let's see, more for you, Dave. We've got start 2, Dobbins, Tracy, Etienne. Who's this last one? Monty? Yeah. Dobbins.
Montgomery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go with Tracy and Etienne. I think that between their rushing and receiving, they've got more opportunity than Montgomery and Dobbins do.
Okay. There's a couple receivers. Is McLaurin ruled out, or is he questioned?
He's ruled out. Ruled out. So Deebo Samuel will be the de facto number 1 receiver for Washington. I have not been a fan of his film over the last couple of weeks. He's been getting a lot of short area targets. Doesn't seem to really explode like he used to. Not separating like he used to. I would be nervous to start him. He's at best a flex.
What are your thoughts on what appears to be the game of the week, the Chiefs and the Bills? I'm getting vibes of Bills Ravens from week 1, or is this going to be more of a defensive game?
I think there will be some defense from the Chiefs in this game. I think the Chiefs defense will come to play, and they definitely have some ways to try and slow down Buffalo. I think it hurts Buffalo that they don't have an answer yet in their receiving core other than Khalil Shakir, who should get a good volume, just not a lot of downfield stuff. Same thing with Dalton Kincaid. I thought Buffalo was going to establish an outside receiver like Keon Coleman this year to be their number 1 guy. They did that in week 1. They haven't done it since. And he's struggled to really convert all the things that he did during the preseason and training camp onto the field in regular season games. I don't think they're hiding anything there. And Kansas City just has an embarrassment of riches in their passing game. Losing Isaiah Pacheco, obviously that's going to help Kareem Hunt get more opportunities. But I still think Kareem Hunt's going to do a ton. Patrick Mahomes is going to do a ton with his arm. Lots of Rashee Rice, lots of Xavier Worthy. And I think that those 2 guys are going to dominate here and pull Kansas City to a win on the road at Buffalo.
Yeah, has Rice already turned into like wide receiver
Top
1?
5 type. Oh, yeah. And we knew that there was going to be a very good chance of that happening based on what we saw from Rice last year. He's actually been a little bit better than expectations through his first 2 games back. Fingers crossed he stays healthy.
What else we got here for Dave? PPR league. Who should I? Well, this is for QBs anyway. Goff or Lawrence?
You never know. They might catch a pass. I do have Goff 1 spot ahead of Lawrence. I'll tell you this, Jason. I feel like there are a lot of quarterbacks this week that have like a good safety net to them. let's call it 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 turnover.
That works.
About 18 fantasy points. That might work, but in this era, you're competing with guys like what Lamar Jackson did on Thursday,
Right.
what Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes might do against each other on Sunday afternoon on CBS. I think you're looking for quarterbacks that have that floor, but also have upside to get you maybe to 25 fantasy points, maybe get you that 3rd touchdown, maybe get you to 300 yards instead of 200 yards. And I view Goff and Lawrence as guys that are probably closer to that floor of 18, maybe 20 fantasy points. Maybe they get 250 yards and a couple of touchdowns and a turnover, and not that big game. So they're good, but they're not great. And if you can consider some other options, a lot of the names that we've already mentioned, from Daniel Jones, Matthew Stafford, Jackson Dart, even Caleb Williams. I'm thinking about Caleb Williams' upside against Cincinnati, and I think he's got 3 touchdown upside. It's a real tough call between those types of quarterbacks, but I'd rather take the chance on the ones that have more upside rather than the guys that are going to get me only 18 to 20 fantasy points.
All right. Makes sense. This is all great advice that you get each and every week, and sometimes in costume as well, for Dave Richard. Dave, where can people check out all your great work?
Check out the costumes that we had on Halloween on Fantasy Football Today. It's really simple. You go to youtube.com, type in the words Fantasy Football Today. You're going to get to our page. You go to our videos. You'll see everything that we do. We do 2-part start-sit episodes every single week. We talk about every single player in the National Football League. We do it all designed to help you win your fantasy leagues, and it's free. youtube.com, Fantasy Football Today.
The best. Dave, we appreciate it. I know our listeners appreciate all the insight you give them. Best of luck to you and everyone else out there, and we'll talk to you again next Friday.
Thanks, Jason. Safe trick-or-treating for everybody.
All right, thank you. You too. I appreciate that. That is Dave Richard joining us each and every Friday, 7 o'clock. You get the best fantasy football advice from him, and I appreciate all of you checking in and asking your questions that we